Imagine you just walk into your planning department and there is a new person sitting at the desk. They don't sleep. They have read every contract in your legal archive and they can calculate a million safety stock permutations in the time it takes you to sip your coffee. So, do you fire your senior employees? No. You would be fooled to do that. You would lose 20, 25 years of intuition and business acumen. Instead, give this new hire a job description. Today, we are moving past the AI is coming for your job headlines. In the long run, AI will work as basic as electricity that is being used to power all the devices. But for now, let's look at how to onboard AI as an additional employee, build a prototype, and make valuable experiences. We are going to look at the generative side, the talker, and the agent inside the doer. I am Rahul Sasnaman, and this is Zero Bias Guide to Hiring the Machine. To manage this new employee, you have to understand their skill set. Generative AI is your communications and research specialist. It is brilliant at skimming through several vast amounts of unstructured data. Think of it as a person who reads all the 50-page supplier contracts and tells you exactly where those important clauses are. Let's look at a real life scenario to understand more. You are a planner for a global electronics firm. A strike is announced at a particular port. What do we do? Normally, a planner spends several hours digging through emails, PDFs to see which supplier have alternative port clauses and who is responsible for those extra costs. Enter your Gen AI employee. You ask, summarize all active contracts for the suppliers on vessel X. Who pays for those extra costs? In 30 seconds, you have a summarized report. This isn't replacing the planner, it's removing the administrative work so the planner can spend those 4 hours negotiating with the carrier instead of reading the fine print. Gen AI does more. It bridges the gap between the system and the boardroom. We have all been there. The CEO asks why the inventory is up. In the old days, we would spend a day or more gathering all the data and building a PowerPoint. Now, Gen AI pulls data from the planning systems, correlates it with the Red Sea disruptions, and writes the narrative for you. It turns the data into storytelling. It makes your planners look geniuses because they're spending their time on the message, not the formatting. Agentic AI, on the other hand, is your operations coordinator. It doesn't just talk, it acts. It's an agent with a goal. If the goal is, for example, to maintain 98% service level for category A products, the agentic AI monitors the system and when it sees a threat, it starts acting, meaning it starts opening tickets, rerouting shipments, and drafting POs. Let's look at some real life examples to understand this better. Imagine an agent AI is tasked with lead time maintenance. It notices that a particular supplier has been late by an average of, let's say, 4 days over the last three goods received. In the traditional system, that data just sits there until a human finds it by an audit 6 months later, which is already too late. Agent employee doesn't wait. Sees the variance, calculates the impact on the safety stock in IBP, and triggers a what if scenario. Then sends a message to the human planner. I have noticed a drift in lead time. I have drafted an update to the material master and recalculated the replenishment. Do you want me to commit this to the live system? This is management by exception on steroids. Agent is doing the watching, so the human only does the deciding. If you only use Jet AI, You have a consultant who gives advice. And if you use agentic AI, you have an employee who gets the work done. Let's look into the real world. Some of the AI enabled examples which are already made available by the big players in the supply chain planning tools are AI assisted forecast results analysis, AI assisted inventory optimization analysis, AI assisted supply optimization analysis, etc. If you noticed, the common pattern in the above is the use of Gen AI instead of agentic AI. The first step towards the AI journey to make the most of the data we have, and if we can summarize it in a meaningful way, it brings a lot of business benefit as well as saves a lot of time. There are also some agentic AI applications, but it's more on the technical side of planning, such as managing your back-end scheduled jobs. Now we have spoken about what we have in the market, right? So now let's look into something from a future potential examples that can add a lot of business value, in my opinion. Number one, be the promotion specialist. Think about it. The new product introduction, isn't it really a guessing game? The planners generally look for a like product from 3 years ago and hope for the best. No one really knows how the product will perform as against the product that we had in the past. Here comes AI. It can act as a historical researcher who analyzes thousands of past launches, coordinates them with the current market sentiment, and suggests the optimal initial stocking levels across the network. From a business value standpoint, it reduces a lot of launch waste and prevents the dreaded out of stock situation during the peak of a marketing campaign. Let's take another example. I like to call it the tier N visibility. You know your supplier very well, but you have no idea who their supplier is, what kind of issues are their supplier facing. Maybe they are going bankrupt, or maybe they have a natural calamity to face. Here is where your agent is your external intelligence officer, constantly monitors your global news, data, and financial findings. If it senses a tier 3 risk, for example, maps it back to your system to give a warning. This shifts you from a reactive to a proactive approach. You find an alternative source for a $2 capacitor before it shuts down a $50,000 assembly line, for example. If you hire this AI employee, you need a code of conduct. You cannot have zero bias if you don't have full transparency. You must implement plainable AI. If the agentic AI decides to cut off a supplier, for example, it must be able to show its homework. Why did it make that choice? Was it the cost, carbon footprint, or any other risk? As a leader, your job shifts from planning to governance. You are the manager of a hybrid team of humans and bots. You set the thresholds. You decide that the AI can handle anything under, let's say, 50,000 euros. But anything over that requires a human signature. That is how you scale without losing control. If the AI is a researcher and the pilot, you are the captain, moving from data entry to strategic orchestration. Don't just implement AI. Hire it, onboard it, manage it just like any other employee. This week, I want you to look at your to-do list. Find that one task that feels like robot work. The mindless data pulling, contractual scanning, report formatting, etc. Write down exactly how you would explain that task to a new intern. That instruction manual you just wrote, that is the prompt for your first AI agent. Stop doing the robot's work and start being the boss. See you in the next episode.